Good morning, everyone. What is today? Wednesday? Happy Wednesday. What's the date? I don't even know the date. Happy Wednesday, August 5th. I'm coming to you from the rather echoey bedroom here. I hope you can find the video. I'm gonna see if I can do that. If I can find it real quick just so I can see comments. Hey, I see it. There's one person on. It's me. Join me. Oh my gosh. It says Aspen Bowman is watching too. Hi, Aspen. Wow. Cool. I'm going to wait just a minute while others jump on. Hi. And we'll see who else joins us for Coffee with the Pastor. This is episode 80. Can you believe that? 80 episodes. That means, gosh, I was going to do the math and tell you how many weeks that is, but we've mixed it up at different times, doing up to 5 Coffee with the Pastors in a week. Now it's less. I don't even know. I've lost all track of time. Who else is here? Good morning. I hope you're finding ways to take care of yourself through these incredible times we are living in. Aurelia's here. Hi, Aurelia. I want to talk about something this morning called allostatic load. Hey, before I get there, let me explain to you why I'm all echoey. I'm in the middle of painting my bedroom and putting in new floors. I tore up all the floors. You can probably see the concrete floors, the walls that are now white. They used to be brown. Anyways, you're in the middle of a construction zone and you've got Bob the Builder here with you today. That's why we're in this. Kudos to my wife for being able to put up with all of this. Hey, Sierra. So, I want to talk about allostatic load, and I won't spend too long on it this morning. But before I do that, let me read a little poem to you from Wendell Berry, one of my favorite poets. Hey, we got a lot of people that just jumped on. Hey, everybody. I want to read this poem. He has simply titled it XII, Roman numeral 12. And I like this poem because it talks about how important it is to be thoughtful and to think and to use our God-given brains. But he writes, "If we have become a people incapable of thought, then the brute thought of mere power and mere greed will think for us. If we have become incapable of denying ourselves anything, then all that we have will be taken from us. If we have no compassion, we will suffer alone. We will suffer alone the destruction of ourselves. These are merely the laws of this world as known to Shakespeare, as known to Milton. When we cease from human thought, a low and effective cunning stirs in the most inhuman minds." He's a poet. Who in the world knows what he means by that? But what I take from it is this encouragement to constantly be thinking about the world around me and giving names to the dynamics, names to all the processes, names to what's going on, so I can move it from my unconscious to my conscious mind, so I can intentionally engage it and maybe even change it in a helpful way. To me, this is what it means to be human. This is one of the defining characteristics of what it means to be human. I've had some people jump on. Hey, Mary. Hey, Pam. Hey, Sarah. Hey, you, if I'm forgetting you, whoever you are. So I wanted to talk about allostatic load, and I put some YouTube links on there for you to go understand this concept later, your continuing education, if you will. But before I get to allostatic load, let's talk about the word homeostasis. We all know this word. Homeostasis refers to some kind of equilibrium. Our body is constantly trying to be in a state of homeostasis, right? Where it's balanced, it's at peace, it's within these narrow norms that help it function in terms of temperature, in terms of chemical balances within our body. That's the extent of what I can tell you about that. Now, how does it get to homeostasis? That's where the term allostasis comes in. Allostasis is that process that our body is constantly going through to get back to some kind of balance, some kind of equilibrium. Okay. And it's an ongoing process. And imagine one of the metaphors that one of the videos I linked uses. It says, imagine if you're standing on one foot. You're trying to have equilibrium. You're trying to have balance. And the way that you're doing that within your leg and your foot and probably all kinds of other muscles is you're constantly engaging all of these different little muscles, making tweaks here and there to try to find some kind of balance. That is the process of allostasis, an allostatic process of trying to move toward some kind of balance and equilibrium where life can continue, where life can go on. If we get out of equilibrium in our bodies, if we have too much blood pressure, if we have too low or too high of a body temperature, things like that, it kills us. So we need these processes to move us back toward equilibrium. Now, all kinds of stressors come at us in life, just in day-to-day life, right? So I live in Texas, which means if I'm taking my trash can out, I might see a rattlesnake at night. This was literally one of my patients I had as a hospital chaplain. One day she was rolling her trash can down to the curb in the dark. She lived in one of the suburbs of Austin, and she got bit by a rattlesnake. So that gave me a new fear of taking out my trash. Maybe you too. I'm sorry about that. But we have all kinds of stressors in life, traffic, bills coming due. Some of the stressors are helpful. Some of the stressors are not helpful. And some of us live with more stressors than others. And so some of us have what's called a higher allostatic load. Some of us, as we are standing on that one foot, trying to find some balance in life, trying to move forward with life, some of us stand there just as we are, and we have to do just the normal processes of balance. But some of us are trying to hold, we have to hold different things. We have different weights we're carrying. We have different things going on in our minds. Maybe we have chronic health issues. Maybe we come from, or maybe you come from a trauma background where, in addition to just trying to maintain the regular equilibrium and move toward that, you also have a lot going on inside your mind. A lot of it perhaps below the surface of awareness. You have trauma and stress that your body is carrying. We know that trauma gets stored into the body. A lot of us bear a much heavier allostatic load, or we have to be working all these additional processes to move toward equilibrium because of systemic things in our society like racism. It is a lot more difficult to move through the world as a person of color than it is as a white person. So people of color bear a much higher allostatic load. It is more difficult to move through the world as a female than a male. This is what we call patriarchy, and it contributes to the allostatic load that women carry in this world and the processes they have to go through in order to, maintain the processes of life, these equilibrium processes. Poverty. A lot of people in our world live through poverty. I first came to the term allostatic load last year when I was studying the 2008-2009 global financial crisis. I opted to write a paper on, I'm in a Master of Social Work degree program right now, and I opted to write a paper on the global financial crisis, and particularly the use of subprime mortgages and the hyper financialization against communities of color and against communities that are historically in poverty. And one of the scholarly articles that I read, it talked about how those who live in poverty have a higher allostatic load. Imagine how difficult it is to navigate through this world when your vehicle is constantly broken down, if you have a vehicle. If you don't have a vehicle and you're trying to get bus lines, like line up, riding public transportation. Imagine how much harder it is to navigate through this world when your dryer breaks and you have no means to get that fixed. And so you take it out on your children, and they are now bearing that allostatic load as well. That example is from my childhood. Imagine how much more difficult it is to navigate through this world when you're having to put stuff on layaway at Goodwill. I mean, these are other examples from my childhood. So we don't all bear the same allostatic load in this world. These dynamics of poverty and racism and sexism and homophobia and heteronormativity, all these things contribute to us bearing different amounts of allostatic load. Some of us, as I said, just get to stand on one foot and balance. I think we all have to learn to do that. But some of us have to do that while racism is being thrown at us and we have to dodge it. Or sexism is being thrown at us and we have to dodge it. Or we are being asked to carry this very, very heavy weight, a psychological burden perhaps because we're living with trauma, or whatever it may be. Or we're being asked to juggle because we're a single parent, or maybe we're a two-parent household. That's fine either way, but we don't have support that maybe everybody should have. All kinds of these things. I love this book. I talk about it from time to time. Dietrich Bonhoeffer's Letters and Papers from Prison. He was a mid-20th century theologian. I'm seeing some comments. I'm glad this is resonating with some people. I'm really glad to hear that, Sarah, and thank you, Aurelia. He was a mid-century theologian, a Lutheran pastor in Germany, and he was an academic, and he really wrote some good stuff. But this is one of his last things. He was captured by the Nazis because he was part of a plot, many say, to assassinate Hitler. And while in prison, he was writing letters to his friend. And this is some of his best, most honest theology right here. I love this book. It's really shaped a lot of how I think. But one of the things he says in here is we need to stop approaching one another in terms of what each other has done right or wrong, and we have to start approaching one another in terms of how much others and we have suffered. We need a new hermeneutic, you could say, for interpreting each other or for understanding each other. And it's not based on what did you do right, what did you do wrong. It's based on how much has this person suffered. Let me first try to understand them in terms of the suffering that they've experienced, and maybe I can understand them better. Using the language of today, we might say, let me try to understand this person or this population, this group, this community in terms of the allostatic load that they are bearing. I would like to understand them in terms of how hard it is for them to navigate through the world. That would, of course, lead us to a place of empathy, right? Rather than judgment, it would lead us to a place of empathy. Hey, Janice, you jumped on. Rayleigh, that's you commenting as peace of Christ. My allostatic load is lighter. Yes, exactly. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to kind of shift toward here as I wrap up this talk is how do we decrease allostatic load? Thank you for the segue, Aurelia. So we decrease allostatic load in many ways. Some of it's practical, right? People simply need predictable, stable income. That would decrease allostatic load. People simply need healthcare and access to quality healthcare. People simply need, to be able to put their heads down at night and sleep in peace, knowing that they're safe, that a parent or somebody else isn't going to come in and assault them in the middle of the night. People need these things. And I, with my life, and I know you, if you're watching this, you advocate for things like this that lower allostatic load. One of the reasons why I'm the pastor, as I'm walking through this world, spending my very finite number of years I have on this earth, trying to make some kind of difference, tangible difference, as small as it may be, is I believe that a community like this, like Peace of Christ, this kind of community can be part of lowering Uh-oh. Are we back? I think we're back. Belonging to a community of life, a community that's practicing empathy, a community that's practicing living the way of Jesus, living the love of Jesus in this world, a community that is naming the dynamics of the world around them. We use theology to do that around here. Sure, we use all kinds of theory from the human sciences. We do that, but we also use theology. So belonging to that kind of community can help lower your allostatic load. And it can help lower allostatic load in very tangible ways. When somebody's sick in our community, we do what we can to support them. We don't do it perfectly, but we do what we can to be a part of lessening that allostatic load. We set up meal trains, we visit them, we do what we can. So that's one way we belong to this community. Certainly, you can lower allostatic load by seeking professional therapy and these therapeutic relationships. I wholeheartedly believe in therapy. There are parts of the Christian tradition that they don't believe in therapy. They say, what good is it if it's not, some kind of religious setting, or it's not Christ-centered or whatever? I'm not like that. I believe in professional therapy. And I don't think the therapist you go to has to be a Christian. I just think they have to be skillful, knowledgeable, able to relate to you, human to human, have training and certification and things like that. Joyce said she just read the book Evicted. Yes, great book. Yes, they bear a tremendous allostatic load. Imagine the allostatic load that immigrants bear as they are trying to come to this country as well. That just occurred to me. Some of the things that can help lower your allostatic load. I just made a few notes. You can comment as well and put some stuff up here, but I think prayer, meditation, mindfulness practices, these help lower your allostatic load. I think exercise, I know personally exercise does that for me. My load feels lighter. I have freed up resources in my mind. My body is at peace more when I exercise. I am constantly advocating that we each find ways to build, create, and nurture in this world. Because when we do that, we are using our agency. We are using our God-given authority in this world to create something. We aren't just passively responding to the world around us, we are actively changing the world in positive ways. So anytime I'm building, creating, nurturing, making this world a more whole place, I am decreasing my allostatic load and hopefully decreasing the allostatic load that those around me are bearing as well. You can limit your stressors. You will hear me say this all the time. I give you, as a pastor, I give you pastoral permission to get rid of the toxic people in your life. This is not something I ever had a pastor say to me when I was growing up or going through college or even through seminary. I don't remember. Maybe there are pastors out there that say this kind of thing, but I didn't hear it at all. So I say it as much as I can now. If there is somebody toxic that needs to be kicked out of your life, kick them out of your life. I don't care if they are your family member. I don't care if you are married to them, whatever it may be. There is no law that says you must keep toxic people in your life. They can go. Get them gone. Whatever it takes. I will fully support you in that. If it's lowering this burden that you bear as you walk through the world, if it's lowering your allostatic load. Connect to sources of meaning. I could go on. Let's see some of the comments. Hey, Larry, I'm glad you jumped on. Tori says, lessen the load by being yoked to other people who want to truly help. Exactly. Joy says, limiting my stressors, working on that. Okay. Yes. I hope all this has been helpful. One of the things I love to do is to give a name to dynamics. So we can move them from the unconscious to the conscious. So we can move them from anxiety that often doesn't have an object and it's ambiguous and it's the boogeyman. And we can move it over to the fear category where it's something concrete and it's something we can attend to and it's something we can name. Like, I always think of Jesus meeting the man who's living among the tombs, and the first thing he says is, "What's your name, man?" That's from Hamilton. No, but he says, "What is your name?" And he wants to know the demon's name so he can attend to it, address it, call it by name. So I think of Adam and Eve in the garden. At the beginning of our sacred story where God says, I want you to name things. So, and in that way, you have dominion over them. So I'm constantly encouraging us to name what's going on around us, name the dynamics so that you can attend to them. Okay. Hope this has been helpful. Allostatic load. Go watch the YouTube videos. Start thinking about the load that you bear in your life. Attend to that. Start thinking about the allostatic load that we all as individuals bear and realize we do not all bear the same load. I know as a cisgender white male, I bear a lot lighter allostatic load than my brothers and sisters of color. Then we could talk about all the different ways that I have privilege. That's one shorthand way, is just to call it privilege. It's the privilege of not bearing near as much weight. Just started watching Hamilton this morning for the first time. Tori, you're in for a treat. Okay, I love you all. Happy Wednesday, and we will see you back here tomorrow.